Sorry, Chair.
Oh, should I start over?
No, you're good.
Okay, okay. Well, we haven't even called the roll yet.
That's
so
correct.
Good, good. Mr. Vice Chair, since our secretary is not here, would you mind calling the roll?
Sure. Member Tim Spiegelglass. Present. Member Laura Ragsdale.
Present.
Member Felicia Ford, absent. Member Jenna Nat, absent at the moment. Secretary Petrie Powell, absent. Vice Chairman Sam Wallach, present. And Chairman Rob Dragell.
Present. Let it also be known that our city council liaison, Councilmember Brian Lewis, is in attendance. And our staff liaisons, Carlos Trejo, Olivet's Director of Planning and Community Development Department, Don Doty, Senior Planner, and Jack Carswell, Planning and Zoning Administrator. All right. Thanks for everybody for being here. Just so you guys know, we follow the agenda type program and we go down one by one, you know, with it. We do have an opportunity for public comments. These are related to public comments that are not on the agenda item. And then we also have time for public comments at each petition. And how we go through each petition is the staff will go through, kind of discuss it. Explain to us kind of the background and any issues that are there. And then we'll bring on the petitioner to help kind of answer some questions and add some additional clarification. And then we'll typically there'll be some question and answers. And then we'll ask for if there's any public comments related to it. Sometimes we do have people that are online. Carlos, do we have anybody online?
Not as of yet, sir.
Okay, so we'll just check if that's the case. Usually we give some instructions too for the streamers or how they handle it. But since we don't have anybody online, I'm gonna cut it short and move on. So, Carlos, did I miss it? Oh, important thing. I think you guys are all part of the petition, but if there are any public comments, we request that they be no more than 3 minutes. Be respectful of everybody's time and to make sure everybody's opinion gets heard. May not seem like a big issue today, but sometimes if it's a big issue, we have a whole crowd of people. So, all right, good. Carlos, did I miss anything?
No, sir.
Okay, then we'll move on. Are there any public comments not related to an agenda item? I take it you three are for an agenda item, right? Okay. Carlos, and there's nobody online?
That's correct. No one's online.
Okay, so we'll move on to new business, and that's item A, 15 Stacy Drive. Carlos or Jack?
Mr. Carswell will take care of it.
All right, good evening, Commission. So before you tonight is an addendum to 15 Stacy Drive. If you guys remember back in December 19th, the House first appeared before the Commission, was deferred and then was approved on January 16th of 2025. With the pool addendum came in on September 2nd to the city. And then with overtime for the review, we found staff concerns related to the stormwater management, which you guys would be aware of the previous issues that were already on the site. The flat work percentage, it's over the 5% for flat work on the site. So that's why we must take it before the Commission. Pool sizing and everything on that end was fine by code, but we would have to take them based off of the flat work percentage. There were some submittal inconsistencies, just making sure that we tie up like the loose ends on the plans. Some of the numbers was that I received today, talking with the petitioner, made sense. We were within like certain square footage, but we want to make sure that we get that all cleared up and that they're all uniform to the correct numbers that we need to have. And then Carlos and I did a site visit today, and we found some inconsistencies with the tree protection plan and the replacement plan. There were some trees that were deemed to be preserved, and I think over time, with the new project and stuff, that those trees were removed. There was one that was removed in the front yard and one that was removed on the northern property line if you're standing in front of the house that's on the left side. My understanding is both of those trees were also in fair condition, but I think as I go into my presentation, you'll see that I think one of them was removed due to the location of where that proposed flow well is going now, which is in that orange square. And then the other tree was towards the front of the property. So we can go into
Where was it on the front of the property?
on the front of the property. It's tree letter A, but yeah, Carlos has it right here. that little small one. So it was just we're just going off of what that tree replacement plan was sent in. So they sent in and they indicated that tree A was going to be protected and tree F was going to be protected, but those both have been removed. But everything else, was still on the site. And the petitioners can answer those questions related to, maybe the reasoning of why they were removed. But we ask that the petitioner provides a revised tree replacement plan due to now with this proposed pool, they have trees 4, 5, 6, and 7 located in the area where this pool is now going to go. So we would like to, as a condition of approval, see an updated replacement plan. In relation to stormwater, staff is requesting that as a condition that the petitioner will be required to coordinate the on-site meeting with the adjacent neighbors and then also that we have the city stormwater consultant review this now that a new, more impervious surfaces have been added to the property. In relation to, or in some answers, information for the total flat work percentage is just by code. Administratively, this site was allowed to have 1,073.7 square feet of flat work, which equals that 5% of the lot area. But the proposed pool flat work roughly is 1,565 square feet. So this means it's roughly about 492 square feet over. You guys have the permission to approve that. There's no issues along that, but hence why we had to bring it to before the commission. And then with the plan inconsistencies, just to make you guys aware of it, you'll see in your dais, there is the plan set, and then it might not be, you guys do not have the colored version because I went off of the version that we had submitted, but there was a colored version that shows that indentation on the rear of the house. If Carlos, could you move your cursor where that is? Yeah, right where Carlos is. That is on your plans as flat work, that's actually going to be removed. So that number of flat work is also going to change once we get the updated plans. So as a condition of approval, we just ask that the petitioner provides consistent plans that match with the final improvement square footages. Also, in your packets, you will have an email chain. The neighbors reached out and the petitioner, we have the petitioner for the pool as well as the petitioner for the home here. And Mr. Brennan from McKelvey Homes responded to those questions and spoke with the neighbor, and he may have some more information regarding that.
Great.
I can answer more questions, Carlos, as well. Excuse me, and both of the petitioners are here as well.
Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
So we have not seen the pool before. Is
No,
that correct?
no, sir,
Okay.
no.
Okay, so we
Yep.
saw the house
Mhm.
and we saw the pool. What was the deal with the house? Why it came back why it was deferred for the first time?
My understanding was just based off of the stormwater concerns. This is that property that has the rear retaining wall.
Okay.
And then there were also concerns with the neighbor to host those on-site meetings and have that coordination. I think the neighbors may have been out of town back then. And then that's why I think the conversations progressed over to the January 16th meeting.
And is the home constructed now?
The home is in the
Okay.
process of being built right now.
It's in the process.
I don't think it's finalized. No.
Okay.
There was a lot of ponding in the back.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then that would affect the house to the north as well.
And I think this home also came in 2 years prior to when it was in 2024 too. I think it was initially brought to the commission in 2022 and then over time, it came back in 2024.
It wasn't the same house at that time?
I don't know.
Yeah,
No, sir.
yeah, something different. Okay. Okay, any other questions? All right, Jack, you're off the hook. All right, I think we'll now ask the petitioner to come on up. Both, you can both go up. Yeah. Just remember to state your name and address for the record, okay?
Okay, my name is Greg Dickinson. I'm with Bi-State Pool and Spa. What do you mean, address? What do you mean, like my home address? Or that is
Work
15
address.
Stacy Drive? Oh.
Work
gotcha.
address.
Work address is 509 Civic Park Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri.
Charlie Brennan with McKelvey Homes. Work address is 424 South Woods Mill in Town and Country, Missouri.
Great, thanks, guys. All right, I think there's been some items that were brought up, or maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit about how we got here, okay? And then
Yeah.
maybe address some of their concerns or comments?
So when Mr. Madera here and his wife Lynn reached out to McKelvey about purchasing 15 Stacy, we advised them that we thought we could make it work. I know in the past there was builders that were not able to get it through the approval process, but we had confidence we could design it and address some of the existing stormwater issues. So we came in December. We didn't have a chance to meet the Millers on lot 17 because I think fortunately they get to go down south in the winter time and avoid the terrible snow we get. But the concerns got raised during that December meeting. We reached out to a representative of theirs, Rod Pattershuk, one of their friends, and we did meet with him on the site sometime around Christmas before the next meeting and talk through kind of what our plan was for the house. And when we saw 15 Stacy, it looked like an existing house was demolished, but the grading was just what was, the house got taken down, but the yard was just left in the condition it was. So after we got approval in December, January, one of the first things we did is go off of the plan and introduce some grading to the site so that we actually didn't allow for pooling water to sit in the backyard. We focused on getting the swales down the sides and directing the water to the front. So we did that grading. I don't know exactly what led to the trees on A and F coming out, but it might have been related to some of the grading that we came into as we were trying to create those swales. We're happy to do all the comments on the petition here in terms of updating that tree plan and also the replacement behind it. So hope that helps. The house right now, the structure is standing. Most of the exterior facade is done, but we're on the inside doing trim work and countertops, things of that nature.
So there, if I remember correctly, there was a pre-existing water issue when the original house was there as well.
I'm not aware of that. I just know when we saw it, there was no house and it was not graded properly to allow for water to flow
Right.
to the street.
So how does the pool, the new proposed pool, impact your previous drainage plan?
So the drainage plan for the house remains the same. The drainage plan for the pool, we've added the pool deck, but with the pool deck, we've added deck drain, focusing that deck drain along the common area between the pool and the house, and also along the north property line, which is the property line where 17 Stacy is at. All of that water that falls on the pool deck is collected into the stormwater management or dry well system for the pool deck, which is separate from the dry well system for the house. And then that water, if it overflows or gets to the point where that dry well system is overtaxed, its pop-up emitter drains water into the swale that is between both the lot 15 and 17. Basically between the homes. Something that we've discussed, one of the concerns that the Millers had was the location of that pop-up. So to further address their concerns, we would like to extend basically the pop-up emitter location beyond the front of both of the homes. So I don't know if you can follow that, Carlos, to where you can. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal to basically run additional piping for that drain to where at that point, then the pop-up emitter would be beyond the front of both homes. So any excess water wouldn't even have to run through the swale. It would basically emit beyond the front of both homes. So another thing is which Jack alluded to earlier, we've actually shrank the pool deck a little bit, not a lot, but we're eliminating some of the deck space between the home and the pool. So we're trying to still maintain a decent sized pool deck, but also be cognizant of how much flat work we're putting in the backyard.
Anybody else have any questions? Carlos?
Chairman, there are a couple of things, and I think Mr. Miller, you had some email, excuse me, Mr. Brennan, some email discussions with the Millers next door. Can you kind of go over those or?
I don't know exactly what was said in that email, but I shared some of the comments that I
Yeah.
received in discussion with
It's just
bi-state pools. Yeah.
There was some concerns about the And I think you did address them, they were addressed and they're part of your packet. I just want
Yeah.
to note it for the record, so.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it in this discussion regarding,
Oh,
so when Greg designed the decking, it's an entire different dry well system that is capturing the water that hits that impervious surface. It's not tied into our house, so happy. I think the biggest thing with Bobby was getting in person to meet, and we'll make sure we're not finished with the project, so we'll make sure we do that. The commission put that as one of the recommendations for what they should consider in approval, and we're happy to meet that requirement.
Throughout construction, has there been any complaints or issues with the grading that you guys did? And any impacts to the millers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
good.
You wouldn't see that yet anyway, because they're gonna have silt fence and everything along there, so it wouldn't be as
Yeah,
bad as
yeah.
of right now.
But you have gutters on the roof right now, right?
That's not yet.
Not yet.
So we
Okay.
don't have the stormwater system installed yet.
Okay,
Right. The downspouts are not connected.
okay,
And one of the last things that we actually put in is that stormwater management system.
and they're gonna be two, one for the pool and
One for the house.
And
Yep.
the one for the house is located in the front?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Maybe if you look at the site though, right now, the swales that have been added have managed the stormwater even without the dry well systems being in place.
right, but as Tim said, you do have the, kind of the protection.
control.
Self-control.
Correct. All
Yep.
around,
things
you know.
going on.
So. I unfortunately did not take a look at this before the meeting, the email, so.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna take a quick scan.
Take a
at
quick
it,
look.
sure,
Yeah.
Make sure. And have you, has she responded to this email?
Possibly. I believe she has.
And if you could read that response, that'd be great.
Yeah. All right, so. She responded, Charlie, Colin met Jeff once outside in the street when the water was pouring over the plastic fencing and flooding the street. At that time, Colin expressed his concerns to Jeff, and Jeff assured him that he would meet with us when they were doing the grading. The only other person we have talked to is the guys who did the stonework on the house who needed to borrow our water. We'll be back this weekend and would appreciate meeting with someone to discuss the additional project that is being proposed. Our concern is we were already told a meeting was going to take place. And 5 months into the project, we still have not met with anyone to ensure the water issue has been fixed on this property. And now an additional structure is being added. And then that was on Tuesday. And I responded, thanks, Bobby. We are available to meet and look forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, good. But I don't know how everybody feels with the potential resident issue kind of being, maybe not completely resolved, whether we want to approve this or not. And I'll leave this up to the opinions of everybody here. Any thoughts?
Well, I'm wondering what happens if the parties get together and they can't come to a resolution. Do we want to leave open the possibility that they'll have to come back and we can hear both parties out before making a decision?
It's kind of what I'm thinking too. Tim, what do you think?
My personal opinion is that this is better than what they had before. Like you have more water
Retention.
going into
I think it's, yeah.
this. Well, like we're in a better position than we were when we approved this. From what they're explaining right now, to me at least.
Yeah.
do we want to hear from the stormwater consultant? Or do you feel
Well,
comfortable that if the
But
stormwater
that is,
consultant?
that is part of them, is that they have to go to the stormwater consultant
Yeah.
as well. I think, isn't that correct?
Yes.
You're right. So,
Laura, what do you think?
I like that the pool has its own stormwater system and it's not attached to the house one. So that it does give some extra, I guess, protection for that stormwater and additional flow. I do though also, I'm curious, like the neighbor impact. So I'm
Right.
kind of like torn between the two.
Right. Carlos, do we have somebody online? And is that,
It does say resident.
It
popped up.
says resident.
is that
So,
potentially the Millers by chance?
not that I'm aware of, but we can note it.
Were they aware they could be here today?
Yeah, well, and yes, and I sent them the Zoom link, but the last email was that she was not going to be able to log on in there because they're coming home tomorrow. And then I think that might be for another, but if resident would like to speak regarding to 15 Stacy, if you can show your hand. It's going to be located in the lower left side of the Zoom menu.
It might say raise your hand. You know.
They say raise your hand. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it should say raise hand in the center, I think, of the screen, bottom center.
We'll give it a little bit of time.
So one of the things, Chairman, because I did talk with Ms. Miller, she did forward me an email of the questions and concerns that you received here, which I shared with Mr. Brennan, and then he responded back to both the Millers and myself with the outline that you see in red.
Good.
And then, but there was still concerns, and I think the main issue for the Millers was that there hasn't been an on-site meeting to have this discussion in there, and I concur. But scheduling is difficult in terms of trying to get this coordinated. There are two key things that I think the commission needs to be aware of. One is, some of the improvements are permitted by right. The property owner has a right to have a pool and has the right to have a pool deck in there. However, it may not be what they fully want based on the commission review. And one of the main issues regarding this site has been mitigating stormwater concerns that have been persistent, both happening on the site, the potential impact to go downhill, which is south of the property towards Stacy, north towards Stacy. And then I think the McKelvey did a good job of showing where a majority of the larger stormwater area that was coming up, and it's based on a retaining wall that's not even on, on these properties or within the same subdivision. It's a swimming pool that's further back off of Bonham Estates. I believe it's Bonham Estates that kind of goes south of Stacy Park. In there, that they have some downspouts that have created some issues in terms of the velocity and the amount of water. Preliminary grading has taken place in there, but we haven't gotten to the final grading of that. We do know the Millers will be in this weekend, and we can try to coordinate a meeting either next week or within the next week. I think you'll be easier to get a hold of.
Yeah.
We'll have to check with our consultant, make sure that they're available, but I would assume that one of the 5 days next week that they'd be able to accommodate. And that we don't have a meeting October 2nd, but on the 16th, we can update the commission on any results in there. At the meantime, to continue to allow the permitting process to proceed for the pool in there, and then we'll follow up in there. The key thing would be for the Millers to understand is that, I mean, they are permitted to do these improvements. We do recognize and understand that there is a stormwater issue in there because of the way the grades and also some past history on this site. And the intent here is that if they put this pool, then they need to mitigate any stormwater that's going to be generated from the pool in there. And I think they've shown it with a separate detention system. But I still think that they probably would want to be educated and see, this finished grading, the swell and how all that works in there and then have their comments in there. They did do some modifications based on some of the comments the Millers had requested by extending the pop-up drain and all that. So there has been some cooperation. It's just we tried to get this on the agenda, one, because it was an addendum to something that had already been approved in there, and then it was somewhat of a tight schedule in there. But one of the first things we did was notify the Millers that this had come in there, so they had ample opportunity to take a look at the plans, give me some comments, and allow me to share with McKelvey. Again, I understand their concern. I think their preference would be, they really would like to have that meeting. And I think we're in a position where we can say, we can meet them right away, especially if they're back
Good.
and then report back to the commission. And there can't be a result where they're going to say, no, they can't have a pool.
Right. Right.
But there could be a result that they want some more modifications or discuss even some broader changes on that, as long as McKelvey's open to that.
Yeah, and as long as we can
we'll-
achieve it, I think that was one of the things when we met with Pattershuk and walked their site. There were some flat areas on their property that they tried to address the stormwater issues with drains. But if it's very level on that, the water isn't going to flow.
Right.
And their concerns was it's always wet over there. So I
Right.
think there's going to be some things that aren't on our property that it's not that we're dumping water onto their property, but some of the existing conditions on their property and the neighboring property might not resolve all of their issues. But I can guarantee you that we're not going to be putting more water. We're going to be making the situation better.
Right.
Sometimes that's hard to understand. Like one of her questions was about, now that the house is higher, that means you're pouring more water to me. Well, that actually allowed us to create the swales so that we could control and keep the water on our property and not just flow it onto theirs.
Well, not everybody knows civil engineering.
I don't know
You know
civil
what I mean?
engineering either. So I think that's the other point too, is with like Greg, like we both hire. So like with Sterling Engineer, they actually do the stormwater plans to the requirements. And I know with
And
Greg,
it's the same thing. So actually, at this point, then two different engineers engineered stormwater systems, one for the pool, one for the house. And they kind of came up with, plans to control the water.
Right.
But two civil engineers have looked at this point. This is what they came up
Correct.
with. So.
Well, I definitely appreciate the response that you guys have back to them and stuff.
Yeah.
And it does look like you guys are working with them. So, but like I said, it's nice when we get a project that does improve things and that everybody's happy with, all the way around.
that's always the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys, what kind of time deadlines are you guys under?
That's the guy.
Come on up.
I should have gotten it done, probably the whole house done by now, but
I'm Steve Madera. I'm the owner. Okay.
25 or
Do you need my address and all
Yes,
that? Okay. I currently live at 7999 Cragen Hall. It's CRAGINHALL Court in Dublin, Ohio. I've purchased the lot. Just so you know, before we purchased the lot, we met the Millers and we met some other people in the neighborhood. At the time, we knew there was significant standing water both at the back of the lot and then kind of mid lot where there were some very large trees that were acting like a dam. And we knew that something had to happen if we were to buy the lot and build it. We did a very good job with McKelvey. I would say once we got the permit through and they did the initial grading, I've been tracking from a distance and also been here on a regular basis. We've seen no pooling of water at the back of that lot like there was before. And that's even with the house built and with the gutter system not installed draining. So I would say today the swells are doing their job of what they needed to do.
Good.
And so I am very concerned. I'm an engineer, okay? And so I was very concerned, especially with putting a pool in there of having water back there. And I realize some of the water issues are with the property behind that's draining into this property, correctly or not, I don't know. But I think we're trying to take care of that. So I support, I can even meet with the Millers, probably can't this weekend, but my next visit out. If we need to move the pop-up at all for the pool further out front, I'm all in favor. At the end of the day, I'm paying for it, so I'm all in favor of doing that.
Right.
Because I want to do it right, okay? Charlie knows that I'm very particular and I want to make sure it's done right. So
Okay.
the dry well system for the house is not in place yet. And even with that not in place, I don't think we've seen any water collection issues. And I think once that gets connected, which the gutters are on as of today, and will be probably connected in the next couple of weeks, it's actually dry as a bone back there.
Great.
And it's been there.
Great, yeah.
So I think both teams have done a very good job making sure we will not have an issue going forward and we can address the Miller's issues. And I'm more than willing to help work with them to make sure there isn't a problem going forward.
Fantastic.
The other issue there was mentioned about the trees removed. I'm all in favor of putting the trees back, the additional trees back. You will have no issue with doing that again. I'll be funding that as well as things go on. So
Correct.
anyway, so we would like to move forward only from the timing. We're at the point where we're getting close to doing final grading. It'd be nice to get the pool in over the next few weeks so that we don't then tear up the yard again and destroy other things as McKelvey comes to closure here. So I would really ask the commission here if we can move forward, and if there are conditions that we have to meet with the Millers and make some adjustments, I will support that with my two contractors here.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Any other further discussion?
There has been a drought. I feel like it is worth mentioning that there has been a somewhat prolonged drought. And we have been at drought levels.
Just before that, though, we had some big.
We
big
did, and
rains,
yeah,
that-
and I'm
that
not
happened.
undercounting or discounting that,
Yeah.
but just to that out there.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, but I think that, they've had grading.
We put the grading in, but actually
You have to come up to.
construction was delayed for several weeks because of the rain that we had early spring. But they had removed the trees and done the initial grading. And even at that point, even with all the rains that we had, I never saw any pooling of the water in the back. So I think that initial grading and creating the swales really did the trick.
Good, good, good.
So-
And you haven't had any complaints about water issues under construction from the Millers or other neighbors?
Yeah, and surprisingly, when the basement was dug, there was no water in the basement, even during all the heavy rains. I think the swales really were able to support draining the water off, and there was no standing water in the back of the property, where there was a lot before.
Great. Great. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, what's our pleasure?
Do we need to do public comments on that?
Oh, yeah, we do need to
Should
do
we
public
say that?
We did already, thank you. Of course, we already asked for is there anybody out in the audience or online that wishes to speak or on this particular issue as a public comment? We'll give it about 10, 20 seconds. Okay. So do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, go ahead.
Motion to authorize the approval of an addendum for site plan, community design and concept stormwater management review for a new pool and flat work at 15 Stacy Drive as presented in the memorandum from the Department of Planning and Community Development dated September 18th, 2025, subject to any staff conditions noted therein.
Should we also add having a meeting with the adjacent neighbor?
I think that's on there as the first condition.
It is? Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Motion's been made by Sam Wallach. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And seconded by Tim Spiegelglass. Carlos, you please call the vote.
Approved.
Commissioner Ragsdale, Commissioner Spiegelglass,
Approve.
Commissioner Nat,
Approved.
Commissioner Waller,
Approved.
Commissioner Jurgel,
Approved.
and the motion passes unanimously 5-0. So the next step in the process would be getting the building permit. And there, part of that was already reviewed, but if there's any modifications, we'll need those modifications before that permit gets released. So,
And then having that meeting.
yes.
All right, good, good, good. Okay, good. So we'll move on to our work session agenda items. Item A, 2024 comprehensive plan. Carlos?
Chairman, we're just gonna follow up real quickly on some of the items from our last meeting. We had a conference this week, so we didn't have time didn't go as time went faster than I was able to keep up with in here. But we talked about the 2024 comprehensive plan. There was some comments from the commissioners about getting into more of the detail and depth of the plan in there. And those discussions were brought forward to the council, and the council will be having a presentation at their next workshop regarding the guiding principles, which is about building community, encouraging our diversity, encouraging sustainability, balancing the economy. That includes, whether it's equity, economy, or sustainability. Talk about affordability, and also making sure that we're a connected place. And just wanted to kind of, again, just bring the commission closer to what is within the contents of the plan. We have these goals A through J, about high quality housing, connected, safe, and equitable transportation network, reliable and efficient infrastructure, high quality city services, proactively lead economic development, ensure all of it is welcoming, keeping the community safe, promoting healthy lifestyles, strengthen our environmental sustainability, and promote strategic redevelopment and growth. So anytime that we present before the commission or we propose any amendments, we should be going back to these and showing to the commission how these help push these implement these goals in there. And we expect the commission to challenge us on some of the interpretations and process in that aspect. Now, within each of these goals, sorry about that. Mouse is jumpy. It gets into detail A. So this is regarding the high quality housing. The intent is that it's diverse in terms of the type of housing and the price of housing. And this is probably a discussion that the council will start having in terms of as people look at attainable housing. We didn't want to use the term affordable in there because that has different definitions and views depending on where you live, even within the region in there. So we were looking at maintaining attainable housing, improve the quality and maintenance of all housing, increase housing types, increase the affordability for moderate income earners, increase options, and encourage sustainable practices in the construction of housing. And then we have potential community actions, like even to develop a Bill of Rights for renters, to foster partnerships with homeowner and neighborhood organizations, to connect residents to resources that can help them do renovations or repairs and things of that nature. So within each one of those goals A through J, we have sections like this in there. The whole plan is accessible on our website, and encourage all the commission members to take a look at, and we'll be bringing those to you. I think the council is going to have a discussion, and I think some of the comments from the last commission was, well, where is the council at? Where are they going to be guiding us with some direction of what they would like us to prioritize? And I think that's the intent of the next work session, is to start that discussion at the council level, to give them an update and a reminder what's within the plan, and then see how they would want us to kind of tackle the goals within the plan, and what those priorities would be in place. So I'll be glad to answer any specific questions. I know that's a broad overview, but that's where we're at in this process. We want to keep that plan up in front and
Yeah, no, this is great. And I think is the plan, when we have time for these workshops, is to kind of go over each section, maybe?
I think that's what would our
Yeah.
goal would be, and to keep it fresh and keep it out there. So
I think that's great.
these plans
Great
last
idea.
20 years, and we don't want to keep it in the background or just wait till the next 20 years to see where we're at.
Right.
And then if there are mechanisms where we can show progress or reports, it's good for the community to know too, so that they know what's being implemented and why.
That's great.
You know,
That's fantastic.
one question I've had, and this is literally what it's about, but you know, when you talk about diversity and equability for the homes and all of that, do we have guidelines around people, you know, or companies like the McKelveys and the Douglas homes that essentially build on repeat and continue to have the same floor plan and same materiality? How is that? How do we have a checks and balances for the amount of homes that look the same? Are we challenging to insist that there's a variety of changes when they move from one build to the other? Because I would argue that we're edging our way to a spec home community, and if we don't talk about it soon, it might start to get a little out of control.
No, good question. We adopted design standards back in 2006 as guidelines. The council at that time did not want to adopt them as code, but more guidelines to provide some flexibility in there. And I think it started with 8 basic design principles that it wanted developers to consider in the review. And when they come to the commission, our role is to identify each of those guidelines in there, and it's kind of evolved now. Jack does a really nice checkbox in there of each of those principles and whether it meets the content of those guidelines. Then we revised those guidelines. I think it was in 2012 or 2017. We went back and reviewed that, probably for the same views that you have today. And it's probably, you know, we're 7, 8 years out again, that is probably a good thing to go back and take a look at that to reflect the views of the current commission in there. Those guidelines are the tools to try to push diversity in design or architecture. And they are very general, but they're flexible, and we give like some illustrations of what we're looking for the purpose and intent to avoid the term's not copycat, but the copycat home, you know, you know, in there. There's always been some discussion too, like when a subdivision is started, you got 4 to 8 prototypes to take a look at and build from there. And so when you go to Indian Meadows, you know, there's probably 4 different of those 300 homes, probably 4 different type of house plans that were put in there. And then there's just a little tweak in each one, has its own little character. And that's what a lot of these come in. I think when we were back in 07, the value of the home and pushing for the creative architecture, that was like a delicate balance. But now these homes are going for over $1 million off of all in there, that there could be more demand in terms of being a little bit more unique or creative in the design. We look at the commission to help us in there. We can bring that to the developer's attention, but if they come in and it's not questioned or they're not pushed in there, you know, it doesn't help us when we get the next person saying, well, they approved it there, they approved it there. So it's a tough cycle to break out, but I think we have the tools in there to make them, to push them further in there. And we welcome the challenge. I mean, it really helps us when we have the commission even questioning our views on whether it complies or not. And ultimately it does, they do hear it. You know?
What, how many houses have we approved this year?
I think we're about 7 or 8.
Like August 2022.
We can't hear you, Jack.
From August 2024 to August of 2025, there were 9 new homes.
I think it would be kind of neat to see pictures of all of them.
Yeah, I could totally compile. I have to compile a spreadsheet for the Housing Authority to get all of the new homes for this year of 2025. So while I'm doing that, I'll be able to compile that, and then I can have it ready for the next meeting.
Maybe we could create a running total as we go. It's
Yeah, and then
traditional
keep that on.
or, you know, modern or, you know, something like that. You know, like I think the radio stations do with ladders and mattresses, you know. But, you know, if we don't, I think, look at this stuff. Yeah, it is. I think that's a really good idea.
Right.
Take a look at it.
I would say that looking at Birdie Lane,
Yeah.
I wish we would have challenged that street a lot more than what it looks like right now. Than challenge that. So I think looking at subdivisions, when we're putting that subdivision, really needs to be part of that.
But how would you,
Difference of-
how do you do that? I mean, if they have, 4 or so homes that they want to offer, at that at that site. But the owners want that style. I don't know how we,
I think the biggest discussion we had on Birdie Lane was the brick in there, and they got away with probably 33 to 40% brick in there, and that was whether I don't know if they were sold or not. I don't think they were presented that way, but that was they did talk about that. That's what facilitated the style that they were looking for, and all that. I know we increased it up to the windowsill on some of them, but they were really conscious about how much brick that they were going to have. We didn't get into discussions about the cost, whether like what is that significant of a cost or not in there. But I think when you go there, it not a lot of subdivisions will require that at least the first floor elevation be fully brick in there. And some home associations are very active, and they when they go through that process, they do that enforcement on their own in there. And we do have them, but in this case, that was the style that they were looking for. And again, the commission had that discussion with them, and the consensus at that time was okay
yeah.
in there.
Did
I
they
guess they
have-
didn't have to plant all those trees back though.
Didn't they have multiple designs that they were considering?
They had I think there was about 3 to 4 different versions in those homes, but they were all primarily like that vertical siding, I think.
Mhm. Yeah,
They're all like hardy board and like,
Yeah.
it's like the same house over and over again.
right. I'll drive by there. I haven't seen that. So, okay, good. Jack?
I just wanted to note that Carlos and I attended a session on Monday, and the consultant that we used for the comp plan used our comp plan as a case study. So it was presented and it was very highly represented during that session at the conference on Monday. So,
Fantastic.
so great work, everyone.
Yeah.
What-
That's good.
Back to what we were just saying a second ago, I'm sorry to go back to it, but I'm wondering if any of our neighboring communities have any other sort of metric that they use to ensure diversity in the housing stock.
The street next to me is not to exceed a half second story. So what, 1.5 stories is the guidelines on that. And I think the idea was to keep it creative and not get overly large but in turn, a lot of the homes are just a rinse and repeat because they found a floor plan that worked. And so I think the intent, I'm guessing, was probably in that mindset. And the result has been a little bit now copycat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, this would probably make more sense, like in the case of subdivisions, like you were mentioning, but something like only a certain percentage of homes within
Yeah.
a particular subdivision can have the same or substantially the same for floor plan. So that forces people to pick different things. But I don't know.
We used to have when they would submit the streetscape, they had to show 3 houses on each side. And it would, the majority of the time, it was a row of pictures, of actual pictures, taped and spread out with the elevation kind of cut and pasted. But you got to see what was in there in a given in there. Over time, it became 2 houses, and now it's just a house next door in there. And again, it becomes what becomes acceptable and in there. And we can start pushing to take a broader look. But it gives you a good perspective, especially if you have more infills now, what is in that place to kind of break that diversity. For our guidelines, when we adopted them in 2006, I think like now there's about 5 other communities that pretty much adopted the same version of guidelines that were put together by that commission. And there, which was pretty neat. Webster Groves has it. I think Kirkwood uses it, and Frontenac in there. But a lot of other communities like Ladue, they have an architectural review board. Somewhere in the 90s, the city had its architectural review board, which was called the Community Design Commission, and the Plan Commission merged into one group. And not that you guys don't have the the balance is still there, but it was an effort to put planning and architectural review under the same umbrella in there. So if you go to Ladue, I mean, those meetings, I mean, they get into detail. Now it's a much smaller group, like three architects or so, but I don't think that they're as friendly in there, and it's a whole different community on that. And Clayton has a really aggressive group, but they've developed like neighborhood plans of what the expectations are for each of those neighborhoods. In there, we have one zoning district and we apply the same standard community wide in there. So there are things where we can look at and try to improve. So
Their subdivision, within subdivisions, there are certain standards that they usually have to adhere to, but I'm not sure how many subdivisions actually have like a brick percentage requirement or anything like that.
Sure, it varies depending from subdivision to subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. Okay, any other further discussion on this? Okay, we'll move on then to item B, child daycare services.
we're still looking at the information again. These lots, which we reflected last week or at our last meeting, are the lots that exceed 80,000 square feet, and you could get a daycare operator can petition to try to operate out of those lots, either whether they're the standalone or combined with another user or users within those properties. Other things that we use at 80,000 square feet, we use it as a mechanism to try to control and promote the type of developments that we want. These developments here can identify those that we really want to be cautious in their placement and the flexibility of their location. So we treat child daycare facilities like we would treat auto stores, convenience stores, liquor stores, theaters, outpatient centers, nursing care facilities, amusement parks. You can see the list on and on and on and on. Is that, again, based on our 2006 comprehensive plan, we wanted to control and restrict the flexibility of these just popping up anywhere. And for the most part, it's been very effective. It's a very good planning tool in there. The question really is whether child daycare services should still fall under that control requirement or not. That's one question before the commission. When we looked at the 20,000 square foot lots or greater, the ability still increases, but the lot that they're looking at is still below. But then the commission had asked us to look at the green space requirements for these type of facilities. Right now, our code, I believe, is either 400 or 600 square feet of green space has to be provided. So we're still looking at some of our neighbors and some of the other aspects, and we'll get back to the commission on that. But it's really those two questions, whether, this is the list of things that we really want to restrict the flexibility of coming into our community, or whether there are things in here or on this list that we want to start to promoting again. These things come back and forth. Child daycare services, back in 2006, for whatever reason, was a concern being on Olive Boulevard.
Carlos, if we could take out the parks, because I don't think that's gonna really, that would be good. And then I do have a quick question about the Firestone, because Firestone would be a automotive repair and maintenance, but that's not 80,000 square feet. So how did we do it there?
Take a look. Good question. I have to take a look in terms of what that definition is and then what the other ones were.
And then we have that Jiffy Lube that's on the other corner. It's not.
Jiffy Lube was a pre-existing, oh, that's what it was. They were both pre-existing,
Yeah.
pre-existing conditions. So Jiffy Lube was there when I,
Station before.
It was a gas station before, but it wouldn't it apply to the new rules?
no, it was on the same conditional use. So I couldn't tell you about Jiffy Lube. I know they were there when I started in 2002.
Right.
And they're, up here, it was, George's Phillips 66 or
Right.
Olivet 66, in there. And he did auto, it was his special permit was solely for auto repair. So the city kind of initiated, what we called a project management team to try to facilitate redevelopment of that area, including the old auto repair lot, the residential property behind, and a commercial, little commercial building right next door, in there. And I think we kind of hit the threshold, but we're unable to get everybody to agree on a price in there. So essentially, we just transferred the Olivet 66 special permit to Jiffy Lube to get that redeveloped.
Okay.
Same.
It was a
justification
grandfather
that they use for
class.
the
Kinda.
Dream Steam going from the dance academy. to
Yeah, yeah,
Dream
yeah.
Steam. You-
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay,
So-
just didn't know if there was. a
No,
loophole,
very good
another
questions. I
loophole.
appreciate you asking. I had to think about that.
I do apologize about the PA being included, but technically that's where daycares are allowed, like, so there's COR, or not, it's, it's in the PA. So,
Gotcha. But I get it. Or maybe just put those a different color then. Or something that we know that. I don't think anybody's gonna want us to take a park and turn it into something.
you never know.
It's true, it's true. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Fab.
Hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have something more firmly drafted for you to consider.
Good, good, good. Okay, we'll move then on to, are we supposed to be asking for public comments? on each
There's
one?
nobody on.
Okay, good, good. So,
And as a work session, it's one of the things I generally in a work session, or at least in the council work sessions, there's not an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you guys to have a discussion, not necessarily have that input.
right,
That's when we have the formal or an agenda item, then there's the ability to provide input. It's up to the commission on how they want to run it, but that's
good, good, good.
okay.
Okay, then we'll move to item C, accessory structure regulations.
Again, we're still looking at this aspect of it, in terms of, the, the square footage and the height. We did put together a table that we shared with the commission several months ago, and we'll be working and putting this back into the queue for review. We do know that we do have a petition coming up again, that is a new submission of a previously denied petition, that will be at your next agenda, that will fall under the current code requirements.
Okay, good, good.
Yep.
Okay, then we'll move on to, assuming no other discussion. Tim, did you?
Tim, anything?
I'm
just looking forward to the next week.
Okay. We'll move on to front yard fence regulation.
Oh, we had a couple of things under the accessory structures. One was, and sorry that the agenda is not reflective, but we wanted to bring the commission up with accessory dwelling units. Again, there's different definitions that are out there, but these will also be, as we look to update our accessory structures code, is to talk about these accessory dwelling units where they could be independent living facilities, or their mother-in-law units, granny flats, little lofts, in there, and looking at it, there's a lot of information out there, and within all of that, there's nothing that prohibits the use or somebody putting an accessory dwelling unit, as long as it's all under the same family in there, and then it has to go through its design review and such. So we'll talk about this more and get you some more information on this.
Great.
Same with the solar panels. We were asking to defer as we look at more information. We were asked to compile like how many petitions and applications the commission has reviewed in the past year. I think we have had only 3. in there to see if there was a concern or a backlog in the
Right.
issuance of the permit. There was not in there. And as of date, we have not received any more applications. The concern from council was that I guess under the new tax rule, there's a deadline at the end of this year that the tax credits are no longer applicable. And we didn't want to impede somebody coming in at towards the last 3 months.
Yeah,
And then finding that because of the commission process that they may not be able to get those installed. So far we've been okay.
good, good, good.
The other thing we need to talk about is about short-term rentals, and those are the rental of a part or the full dwelling unit for less than 30 days. In there, we've had some complaints and concerns about various properties. If you look at Airbnb, these have been consistently the only two that have been identified in all of that. Every once in a while, there's one that pops up here in the Hilltop neighborhood, but I think that property sold in there. And then you can actually rent out your pool in there. And there's one property that pops up in there. And I think,
Tell me more.
There are concerns from immediate neighbors, but not concerns wide. So we are preparing or trying to draft up some regulations. I think we need to know where they're at, and there's got to be a process of registering them. It would be up to the commission and ultimately the council of whether we want to permit them or not. But I think it would be hard to not permit. Excuse me.
Right. I'm sure we'd get the city attorney involved.
Yes.
With looking at that as well. Okay.
I know there's some regulations that some communities have around this where I'm trying to remember the wording, but essentially you have to ensure that the person or people renting are there for a minimum of 90 days or something. So what it does is it pushes out the Airbnb options, but it allows for the traveling nurses
Correct.
and such, or a co-op student at a local university.
Interesting.
So and we'll look into those, and that might be a different category. We do have some apartments that do the 90, 120-day rental options that they call them like the corporate suites.
Mm-hmm.
And every time there's a change in occupants, we are required by code to inspect those. But we work with the complex pretty well to do that. It gets harder in a single family home and see when they go in and out. So
Mm-hmm.
Do they notify you, or how's that work?
yeah, the apartment complexes are pretty good because they got that process to
Yeah.
request that inspection
Good.
in there. So yes. Excuse me.
And on a positive, it's a really nice way to give somebody a snapshot at our neighborhood, right? It gives them 120 days or whatever to say, oh, it's been nice living here for a while.
All right, good. Any more discussion on accessory structures? If not, then we'll move on to front yard fence regulations.
And that, Chairman, we'd ask to defer
Good, good. Okay, move on to residential driveway.
along with the driveway. So that's right.
We're also deferring. Okay, fantastic. So we're moving right along. Other business reports.
Chairman, you have a calendar schedule there on your monitors. Just remember, our next meeting, October 2nd, will be canceled in observance of Yom Kippur, meaning that October 16th will be our meeting in October. We do have, it didn't look like there was anybody that was inconvenienced for the October 2nd meeting. But we do have, I think, about 4 petition items for the 16th that will be coming in. And then we have others that are in the queue for review to see if they have, if they're fully compliant.
I will not be here on the 16th.
Okay.
You can always attend via Zoom if
I
you
will
want.
be in early and not Zoom.
Understood.
No, I appreciate the heads up though. It's good to know. So
Can I ask a quick question about it's either the clean out or the trash bash? I forgot which one it is. It's the one that takes electronics.
that's the 20th, the Great Olivet clean out.
Will they take monitors, like computer
I
monitors?
believe
as
so.
well?
Now, whether there's a fee involved, that you'll have to take a look at the website.
Like, I didn't see anything on the little thing that came from.
Yeah.
I
And
urge you to call the Parks Department.
Okay.
They're kind of
Okay.
coordinating that.
Thank you.
In there, but usually well, I think last year they didn't. Yeah.
I'm going to look because I don't know. There's a list on the website, or there almost always.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Regarding developments, Lot 3, which is the up at Olive Crossing, is moving along. We're still working on some of the inspections before the tenants start their components on there. Of course, there's the brass tap, the Paris Baguette, Smoothie King, no, Tropical Smoothie, and Verizon Wireless, and then there will be a fifth tenant in there that hasn't been identified or named yet. And there, we did receive the application for the hotel component of this development. That will be introduced to the commission on the October 16th meeting. And the way I've explained it to the developer is like, you're just gonna present to the commission, no action. I think we want to make sure the public has an opportunity and time to view it, and also for the commission to kind of take that in. For Ms. Nat, it is a pretty significant development in there, and we can forward you some information about that. In concept, the hotel's been authorized. So there's like, they had the right to build the hotel. They had the right to build a hotel up to 5 stories. This will be a 4-story hotel, 125 units, one brand in there. But here you'll be serving as part of the architectural review, and then we'll have discussion about, where are they at in terms of the entire site and meeting the goals and objectives of the developers agreement and what we call the planned unit development. So there will be a lot to talk about, and we'll fill you in when you have that opportunity.
I've worked a lot with Marriott's in my life. It's a past history, and they have a very, very strict standard. So there's
Good.
not a whole lot
Awesome.
that the design architects here locally can do. And they're pretty regimented from my perspective.
What with this sort of thing, remember when they give the first introduction, this is also our opportunity to ask them for other things that we need. Cross sections, renderings, things like that. And this could be potentially, have some concerns with surrounding neighbors and things like that. So trying to make sure we give them kind of a list of everything that they need to submit for the next one will be helpful, so we can kind of keep moving with things. So
I think one thing to ask would be about their lobby and like the amenity space as far as their internal bar or restaurant that they provide. Because even though it's a hotel for the guests, the locals tend to, if it's a good bar vibe, but then to your point, it might encourage noise or just something to consider for the neighbors.
right, yeah, that's a very good point. Especially the patios in the back,
Right.
Events or things like that. Would it be rented out? For, outdoor activities. Very interesting. Okay.
And then Irvington Place, which is right behind Chevy's and CVS. That's moving really smoothly. I think they're looking for March to start some type of occupancies on those units. If you're familiar with the area, there was the old railroad tracks that went along the west side of Beckman's, all the way down to Murphy, and eventually gets to the north side of the town. The Great Rivers Greenway is now clearing that out. They've purchased that old railroad property for the extension of the Centennial Trail in there, and we probably won't see construction till 2007. There's still one parcel that they have to negotiate purchase with to be able to connect that with the Indian Meadows Warson Park Trail,
Great.
which
Great.
all being part of the Centennial Trail system in there. We've been meeting with the developer. We're doing like weekly meetings with the developer across the street. He's got several units sold. Things are moving. We wish they were moving a little bit faster, but they're starting to get some momentum in place. So we're happy about that. We have at the former Party City for temporary is Spirit Halloween. That's taking occupancy, but they are working to try to get a long-term tenant in the space, and we're waiting for them to get back to us and all that. So,
Very good.
and I think that's pretty much, unless there's any specific questions. And Ms. Nat, you were right. Yes, Anorama is out.
Oh.
They're all cleared. So,
I'm not sure about the building as a whole, but I know that they no longer have that front area.
Well,
Would it be a daycare opportunity? There's enough square
It
feet.
would meet the site. I mean, it is, and it could provide more green space in there. But yes, they meet the 80,000. Well, they'll be over 20,000 square feet, but they're short of the 80,000.
Mm.
So yeah, we can bring that to their attention too.
good. All right. Brian?
Not much to report other than obviously some of the events listed here, pumpkin carving, various things in the parks. But thanks for everything everyone's doing. And appreciate it.
Good. And in my packet, I think I saw, Jack, that you've been working hard. So there is, wasn't on the agenda, but there is a meeting minutes that slipped in here. So would anybody like to acknowledge do I have this right? This isn't August 17th, it's April? April 17th. I mean, just joking.
corrected him about Brian Lewis. He's a council person.
Would somebody like to acknowledge receipt, or did I just do that?
I think you did.
All right, April 17th, 2025 minutes are here. Thank you, Jack. And any other further discussion from anybody else? Seeing none, we will adjourn at 8:15.
Oh. Where's the pumpkin carving?